Hey, welcome to another episode of Thoughts of a Rambling Mind. As you know, I only make videos when I find something intriguing, and of course, I'm intrigued. So this video is going to be a little breakdown of how Terence Crawford might be able to beat Errol Spence. Because, as you guys know, I'm an Errol Spence fan, and I honestly believe that he's going to win. I'm just not a Stan fan. I'm an actual, if I thought he'd lose, I'd say he'd lose, and I'd say I don't think he should take the fight. But in reality, I think he's a shoo-in to win. I think it'll be a pretty typical fight for him. But it's boxing. So in boxing, anything can happen. Terence Crawford has, I think, consistently something like 8 or 9 straight knockouts in his last 8 or 9 fights. I think he missed one, and I think he goes on to like 11 knockout streak, right? Give or take one in between there somewhere, right? So he definitely has a puncher's chance to win this fight, right? So the question is, what attributes does Terence Crawford have over Errol Spence? Well, I think to me, the most glaring difference between Errol Spence and Terence Crawford in Bud's favor is control and accuracy. You know, Errol Spence is a volume puncher and he's a power puncher. Every punch has some real weight behind it. He's not throwing knockout punches, but he's throwing heavy blows every single punch. The problem with them, though, is that they're often not accurate. They often stray below the belt, or they often just go over the head completely, in which you can see him throw his body off balance with the punch. So against a number of opponents, he's done this. He has a little skip move that he does after he throws the punch and loses a little bit of balance. He has a skip move that gets him away from the follow-up hit, you know? So they say that Errol Spence's defense doesn't have good defense. I actually see an offensive flaw that it takes really good defense to recover from, and he does that. So his defense is pretty good, right? Like I'm saying, he throws this overpowered punch, especially like a right hook, left hook. He throws it super overpowered, and if he misses, it'll throw him off balance. Terence Crawford is a very accurate puncher, right? I think Terence Crawford has a pretty good grasp on human anatomy, right? I think he knows where the weak points are in the body. I think he knows how to throw a punch and how to land a punch in order to inflict maximum damage when he swings, right? I think he hits those spots that put people out, or hits those spots that are weak points in the human body, and people lose their wind and they go down from body shots, or they go get knocked out cold from headshots, right? So I think Terence Crawford's biggest key to victory against Errol Spence is capitalizing off of the many mistakes that Errol Spence makes, right? Now, Errol Spence doesn't make these mistakes because he's a bad fighter. He doesn't make these mistakes because he's mistake prone. You see, whenever you're dealing with volume, whenever you're dealing with quantity, you will always lose a little bit of quality. The amount of volume punches that Errol Spence throws, the amount of activity that happens in the Errol Spence fight, it guarantees that there will be many, many opportunities for a strategic, accurate fighter to gain advantage. And I believe Errol Spence will present Crawford with many of these opportunities. The question is, number one, will Crawford be quick enough and smart enough to react? And I think maybe not all, but for a few of them, I think he will. I think for a number of them, he will be able to react. The second question is he strong enough to capitalize off of his reaction? And that's where I think we have a little question mark, right? Because we've never seen Errol Spence truly hurt, right? We've seen Terence Crawford hurt, but we've never seen Errol Spence truly hurt. So the question is, does Terence Crawford have the strength and the power to truly hurt Errol Spence? Because if he does, I think that's gonna be the spade of all spades, you know? Because the trump card is because the question is, does Terence Crawford have the power to put down Errol Spence? Does he or does he not? You know, if Terence Crawford doesn't have the power to put Errol Spence down, then we can forget about it, right? We can forget about Terence Crawford having any chance at all. But if Terence Crawford has the strength to drop Errol Spence, or to even just enough to hurt Errol Spence so that he can follow through with what we all know is his killer instinct, all right? If he can hurt Errol Spence, well, then we have a really good fight on our hands. And I honestly believe that if Terence Crawford has the power in his hands to hurt Errol Spence, and I truly, truly believe that Terence Crawford will win this fight. I don't know. I can't say I don't think, but I can say that I don't know if Terence Crawford has that power. I don't believe Errol Spence will be severely hurt, but what can I say? I've seen a bunch of Terence Crawford fights, and when he hits people, you know, it doesn't seem like they're caught that hard. It just doesn't. However, there's no question that they're being hit hard or that they're being hit in a specific place. There's no question about that. So, how does Terence Crawford win this fight? Well-placed, accurate punches, counter-punching, and capitalizing off of the mistakes that Errol Spence inevitably will be making, right? If you ever watched the Errol Spence fight, you know that he leaves himself open a lot. He just does. We can't pretend like that's not the truth, right? We're fans, but we can't pretend it's not the truth. He leaves himself open a lot. He's never fought someone with the knockout ratio that Bud has. And he leaves himself open a lot, right? I think Terence Crawford, I won't say Terence Crawford is the hardest hitting opponent, but he's up there amongst the hardest hitting opponents that Errol Spence has faced. You know, so it's a good chance that he has an opportunity to win this fight. It's a good chance. I got a question for you guys, right? What wins? Speed and accuracy versus quantity and power, right? Because that's what this is. This is speed and accuracy versus quantity and power, all right? Terence Crawford is by far a more dynamic fighter in display. I don't know what everyone is capable of in sparring in the privacy of their own. I'm just talking about their styles on fight night, what they display. Terence Crawford displays far more dynamics. He displays far more from his bag of tricks in a fight. That would lead most to believe that against a fighter who doesn't display as many tricks, as many tactics, that the person with the more options would be better off. And the reason you would think that is because if something doesn't work, there are more than one way to skin a cat, and you have those options at your disposal, right? The issue with this type of thinking when it comes to an Errol Spence is that his style is a style that breaks through many different styles. His style is deliberate, belligerent, unrelenting, right? That being said, while Terence Crawford is trying many different styles, he's going to have to be trying these different styles while taking punches. Because Errol Spence is not going to slow down while he's figuring it out. There will not be a lull in the action for him to try something new. He's going to be bombarded with punches, and while he's taking these punches, if something that he's doing isn't working, he's going to have to make the transition right there on the spot while defending himself. Errol Spence presents an extremely difficult challenge, an extremely difficult puzzle, and I don't think it's even a puzzle. I think we all know. I think everybody in the world knows what Errol Spence brings to the table. The problem that Terence Crawford has most is that no one knows what he brings to the table. I'm going to ask all the Terence Crawford fans right now, what is Terence Crawford going to do in the ring? You don't know. Okay? The best possible guess we have to what Terence Crawford will do in the ring is that he'll start off slow and he'll come out fighting orthodox. That's the best scenario. That's the best guess that we have, right, for Terence Crawford. So to me that seems like a flaw. To me, it seems like if I can't be sure of what is coming, I can't be sure that he has a plan laid out. We all know what Errol Spence's plan is, but that again may be Crawford's advantage, maybe to Crawford's advantage, right? How so? Well, it's simple. If you know what's coming at you, you have every opportunity to try to stop it, to try to make it unsuccessful. Right? If you know the exact style that you're going to be fighting, you have a good opportunity to try to defend it. See, Errol Spence is going to have to deal with a dynamic, shifting opponent in front of him. All right? We have a guy who has many tactics under his belt. And then on top of all of those tactics that he has, you got to double him. And the reason you got to double him is because he can do it all from the left hand, from the left side or the right side, southpaw or orthodox, right? He can do it from either side. So whatever his tactics are on the left, he can do them with the right. It makes Errol, it's gonna make for some difficulty against Errol Spence, right? Errol Spence is susceptible, by far susceptible to the uppercut and to, I believe it's the right hook. Like, incredibly susceptible to these two punches. Is that like every fight that I've seen him in, and he took an uppercut and a right hook, it was an incredible hit. Now, he ain't never been dropped by these punches, but every single time, that uppercut and that right hook, baby, that rings his bell, right? So, if I'm Terence Crawford and I'm fighting a strategic fight, you'll be seeing a lot of uppercuts. Right? Now, why is he so susceptible to the uppercut and the right hook? Well, it's because Errol Spence fights on the inside. He's always trying to be in your chest. He kind of puts his head down a little bit, and he gets a swinging right up in your chest. So that makes him lean forward just a little bit and have his head open for these uppercuts. The right hook, again, he's in your chest, right? And he's a lefty. He's fighting southpaw. So that leaves him open completely for your right hand. All right? Terence Crawford, again, counter punches, capitalizing off of the mistakes of Errol Spence, uppercut, right hooks, combination, and he's going to give Errol Spence a run for his money. Anyway, those are my thoughts of a rambling mind. Like, share, drop some comments in the comment section, and I'm out.